Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. It's our joint solution showcase, intelligent threat detection and response. We're really excited to present this joint solution to talk about security automation, to talk about Axon, to talk about Smart SOAR, the partnership and why we've partnered. So that's why we're here today. So just do a few notes for myself. So I'm the Director of Marketing at D3 Security. My name is Alex McLaughlin. The webinar today will be recorded and available on demand. There will be a live Q&A session at the end. We're thinking it'll be about a 45-minute runtime. And, most importantly, the best question gets a $50 gift card. So don't be shy. We want to handle some questions. Make it tough on Pierre, make it tough on Vaughn. Don't make it too hard on me. I think that'll make for a good webinar. So Vaughn, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a product director at LogRhythm. I've been working on Axon for a few years. My experience, I've been with the company for 8 years now, and that's been as a sales engineer working with customers really throughout the United States, in some cases the world, some of the larger accounts that we've had. I've joined LogRhythm as a customer. So I had a security program where I built my security program really focused on LogRhythm as a key component, as well as some of the other supplemental technologies that one would expect in modern IT infrastructure, to be able to take my security program from crawl, walk, run very fast. One of the things that we've done that really helped us is we really just tried to improve. And Alex pulled out one of the quotes I had. Trying to improve something by 1% every day, the incremental gains add up over time. It's actually something that we're doing with Axon, although maybe we're trying to improve more than 1%. But it's something that I've tried to take with me pretty much for everything I do as part of a continuous improvement.
Great, thanks, Vaughn. Vaughn, I've got a question for you. I know it's early, but when you built your security program, how much did the way that you managed incidents change from the beginning of building your security program to the end? Like, what was the difference like between beginning and end in handling an incident?
Excellent question. Actually, this is not even a seed question, right? This is we're talking shop.
No, it's not.
It really changed. Actually, that was kind of the struggle with it. Building up playbooks when you see something that happens. What do you do about it? How do you respond? How do you keep track? How do you get better? How do you measure your response, your detection capabilities, your response, and the ability to protect companies' assets? Part of that was a journey, and I do see that in a lot of customers that I talk to. They're in various stages of the journey, and let's face it, doing security sometimes isn't easy, and we need all the help that we can get, particularly as it comes to visibility, detection, response, reporting on those metrics, and ultimately securing organizations.
Great. Yeah. Security is hard. I mean, that's why we're here. Okay, over to Pierre. Pierre, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and get into, Pierre's a guy that is actually passionate about SOAR. I work with Pierre closely, and he's always thinking of use cases and things we can do, content we can write. So I know you're looking forward to digging into the demo. And yeah, so tell us, why are you so passionate about SOAR?
Sure, yeah. So I worked for about 1.5 years with our clients, both enterprises and MSSPs, and I had to really untangle a lot of knots when it comes to automating their workflows for the first time. We work with mature enterprises. They have established processes. They have maybe 12 or 24 different security tools. So figuring out how to integrate all of them and make the most out of all of them, and then at the end of the day, just provide value every day to their analysts, was a really eye-opening experience. And we were able to push through for quite a few implementations. And I noticed that here, my quote is, for SOAR, ingestion is job number one. And so basically what that means is, aside from all the bells and whistles of automation and integrations and MITRE and all this stuff, like at the end of the day, a good SOAR platform will become the hub for your incident response. It's going to consolidate everything. And if ingestion goes down, then something is missed. And we all know how much of a problem that is. So D3, we like to really focus on the fundamentals because that's what enables all of the other amazing features of SOAR.
Yeah, and I know a lot of SOAR solutions, fail on ingestion or cause problems or leave a huge burden on the customer, and so we want to make sure at D3 that we are nailing our ingestion, that we're doing a great job. And I know we'll get into the event pipeline later on. So I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here. We'll pass it over to Vaughn. Vaughn, tell us about Axon SIM.
Sure. Yeah, we built this from the ground up. We've been building this in parallel. We've had SIM in the market for almost 2 decades for our on-prem product. We've taken some of the concepts that we liked from there. It's Axon is really what happens when you give a bunch of nerds a blank sheet of paper on and building out how it should be done, or where there's lessons learned from the past 20 years. It is a multi-tenant cloud native platform that we've built using modern technologies, modern ways of building, delivering, testing, and delivering code. It actually kind of makes me giddy when we get to the next slide on how fast we're delivering. But fundamentally, what we're doing is we're collecting data from public, private cloud, and on-prem. We're collecting these really through our Axon agents for on-prem cloud collectors to be able to get data in there. Pierre was telling us about data and the visibility that's required. We focused on that to be able to collect data from a number of different places. Easily and automated, so customers can focus on security. We enrich that with our MDI fabric. We do some identification, normalization, and clean up the data in a way that allows us to store those logs, make it easy for our customers to be able to visualize those, both for forensics, for reporting. And we have a security analytics layer too that does detection. So it's important for us to get good, clean data in so that we can get good, clean detections out. We take that data, and eventually this bubbles up as part of our case management and notifications. We'll pull things in as part of a case. We'll kick off a notification, and we have APIs because we've built this out with modern technologies. We use APIs so that we can do integrations, and Pierre can attest that we do have those integrations. We worked together to get the integrations through our API into the D3 platform. And high level, this is how our platform fits and how we feed into the D3 platform.
Should I go to the next slide, Vaughn?
Please.
All right. There you go.
Yeah, thanks. The part that really makes me giddy, and I admit I'm a bit of a nerd, is that we're doing releases every 2 weeks. And this is really important to us as we focus on the quality, velocity, and efficiency as we keep turning the crank on the value that we bring to our customers. It's really a great place for us to be in because it allows us to listen to our customers. We talk to them frequently about the things we got right, about the things we didn't get right. We're not perfect, but being able to turn that crank every 2 weeks ensures that we get incremental improvements. We started by one of my personal mottos is getting 1% every day, but this really allows us to get better and better every 2 weeks. Our platform is available in 3 regions: North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And we have things that are that you would expect for modern platform, single sign-on, multi-factor. We have those open APIs that we mentioned earlier. And key things that we've done with our platform as part of making security easy is the automated data collection that we do, being able to automatically onboard data in a way that's easy and doesn't require maintenance. We have flexible collectors that make it easy to get data into the platform that feeds that analytics engine. We have rule-based authoring. We have observations that are made by our analytics engine that surface these for our customers as part of email notifications, alerts, and case management for investigation. Dashboard's pretty easy to use. We've baked in some assisted search, pivot, drill down. We've built a lot of things into the product, but we keep getting better every 2 weeks. And what really gets me excited is when we release these features for our customers, getting the feedback from the customers, and really building upon where we are. If I think where we're going to be at this time next year, we'll have, let's see, was it 52 weeks in a year? That's 26 releases between now and next year. That's 26 opportunities for us to get better and better. This is what makes me excited about solving difficult problems for our customers. Alex?
Great, thanks. So let's talk, a little bit about what is driving this partnership. I mean, that's why we're having this showcase. That's why we're here today. That's why we've been in the news lately with this partnership. So it's really about improved customer outcomes. We have joint customers. We want to work harder and closer and line up our technology and our capabilities in a way that that ensures the integration is seamless, that allows customers to take action faster with more confidence across any environment, so that we can automate responses to a validated threat, reducing time to detection and time to response, minimizing manual work. It's all that security automation stuff that gets talked about a lot, but the work also needs to occur. And Pierre or Vaughn, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the work that I know has happened between our two companies to arrive at these customer outcomes in this partnership.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting is partnering with a cloud native SIEM, especially at LogRhythm scale, is we get to design or think about the incident response process from end to end. Because log aggregation and analysis is not something we do within the SOAR platform. We're often just the recipient of the security alerts that something like Axon would generate. So we don't have much, we don't participate in that process. But the partnership with LogRhythm Axon, we can think, okay, based on the logs that we're seeing, how is that eventually going to land? Considering all of the other tools that the customers are using, what EDR are they using, what remediation actions can we take on it, and then being able to build the pipeline from end to end is really what I find interesting.
Yeah, I really liked, and when we get into it, particularly the automated enrichment and response, which I think really complements our platform perfectly. And to be fair, it was Pierre was the one that did most of the work. It was probably a 98 to split between level of effort. So he's a guy who gets things done.
We have a very good team, we must say, both on the Axon side and the D3 side. Teammates are very, very good.
So look, let's everybody wants to see the joint solution, the tech. So let's hit the gas pedal a little bit here, and just for anybody that doesn't know, just a little bit about Smart SOAR. So D3 is known for our agnostic, our deeply functional integrations. We call them unlimited because there is no limit to the number of integrations we have. Like, yes, we have hundreds and hundreds of integrations, but if you come to us with an integration and we don't have, we'll build it for you. So we truly have an unlimited number of integrations. We also call them vendor maintained. So this is unique to D3. So we maintain the integrations. We have the largest team dedicated to integration maintenance, we think in the world for a SOAR vendor. And we take that burden off your team, and that's our responsibility. So we have vendor maintained integrations that are always kept up to date. And we also have something called vendor specific playbooks. So these are playbooks that we've developed and are developing that are built for specific combinations of tools and are really like a bespoke playbook that addresses some of the unique nuances of certain tech stacks. And I know, again, that's something Pierre's worked a lot with. Pierre, anything you want to add before we move on to the next slide?
I think that the kind of unknown challenge that SOAR users face a couple of years after they onboard with a vendor is updating and maintaining those integrations. And so that's just code. They have to go in there and they have to test the new API and they have to transform the data within the code itself so they're getting what they want. And that's not really part of the demo process or the proof of concept process that they're walked through. But within D3, you can click into any one of our integrations. You can see all of the system code that's there. We have upwards of 40 or 50 different commands for an integration. And again, these are all built by our team and maintained by our team. So it does become a very, very big burden that's lifted off of the end user.
Yeah, and the burden's put on our people instead of yours. So that's
right.
great.
Yeah.
Pierre, how we automate, how we orchestrate, we like to talk about the event pipeline. I'll hand this over to you to explain.
Sure. So the event pipeline is kind of a logic flow of what happens when alerts hit Smart SOAR. So on the left-hand side, we have all the different integrations that you can connect to. Like I mentioned, the SOAR comes in after the
For the record,
alerts are
there's more
generated.
integrations than that. That's just the graphic, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So LogRhythm creates the alert. It's ingested into D3. Often we'll be ingesting alerts maybe from Office 365 or CrowdStrike as well. And so that's where the normalization stage will hit. And what we're going to do is we're going to map all of the data to a standard schema inside of V3, and this helps simplify the automations down the road. We use different threat intelligence and tools in your environment to help prioritize them. And then we classify them as either a false positive or a true positive. Dismiss the false positives, and then at the end of it, we escalate just the incidents that the end users should be focusing on, and then that's where the automated remediation comes in.
Yeah, so we take, lots of lower fidelity events and turn them into a couple high fidelity incidents. So, we had one customer, Highwire Networks, who we did a testimonial with recently. And, one comment from their executive team that stuck out with me was, when I think it was a 2-week span, they had 145,000 alerts. Once D3, was adopted, that 145,000 went down to 2,000, and then 200 that a human actually had to go handle. So, it was like a 99.9% reduction in sort of the, alert flow and alerts that needed to be handled. And again, I mean, this is their commentary, not ours. And so that was a really great example of how the event pipeline can work. And I definitely encourage anybody to seek out that video testimonial with Highwire Networks. Pierre, a little bit about Smart SOAR for MSSPs.
Sure. Yeah. So one obviously big use case is for the service provider. Service providers are gaining more and more popularity now as enterprises are seeing the complexity and cost of managing their own cybersecurity program. And so the pressure for MSSPs is forcing them to look at ways to deliver their service more effectively. And also they have the business considerations to think about as well. So how can we do all of this profitably? How can we bring on more customers and still enable growth? And so automation, particularly through SOAR, we've seen become a core part of their service offering. Number one point is because it can become a single platform for incident response. They can ingest and consolidate alerts from multiple data sources into a single platform, and then they can orchestrate actions back to them again from the SOAR platform. So if an MSSP has 30 customers, each with their own SIEM, they can consolidate everything into a single SOAR platform. Obviously, it helps with automated enrichment, containment, and recovery. These are some core services that the MSSP can offer. There's multi-tenancy built into Smart SOAR. And so integrations, API keys, data is kept separate, and playbooks can be ran across multiple client sites without having to recreate them. We also have a client portal. This is completely unique to D3. So this is a separate login for the MSSP's clients where our MSSPs can push incidents to them. They can have their clients log in, review the incidents, give feedback, approve or deny certain actions, and then those approvals are pushed back to the playbook and then can trigger automated workflows as well. And as Alex touched on, we do offer unlimited and vendor-maintained integrations. This is extremely important for MSSPs, obviously, because the last thing they want to do is limit their addressable market. And they do that by saying, yep, no matter what stack you're using, we can service you.
Great. Thanks, Pierre. So little bit about the use case, and then we'll jump into the demo. Vaughn, you'll be taking off first, basically.
Yeah, so the use case we'll be going through is a audit log cleared command ran. This will be detected and powered by LogRhythm Axon. Then it'll push that alert into D3 where we'll do some enrichment and remediation with Carbon Black and Okta. And throughout, I'll show some synchronization between the two tools to make sure that the cases are always up to date with the correct information.
Great, thanks, Pierre. Vaughn? I'll stop sharing here.
All right, great. So I'll show just a little bit of Axon and some of the detections that we have to really talk about the integration. Alex, can you confirm that it's coming through?
Yes, it is.
Okay. We have day mode, night mode. Alex or Pierre, I noticed I think you're in day mode. I'm gonna run night mode. So some of the things that when we talk about our platform, some of the things that are kind of cool and I think that are relevant to most customers. The first thing we talked about the delivery, just to reiterate, one of the things that we are proud of is that the updates that we do every 2 weeks. We have sizable updates that come every 2 weeks that are really aligned to customers. We've talked to many customers, and generally these things, we can put names next to them. So we're moving quickly, and that's really important to us, also important to our customers. We have other things in here that are important for enablement and onboarding to help customers use the platform. We try to design things that are pretty seamless. Within the interface, everything is under the web console, including dashboards, searches, reports, cases. We have admin functions here as well. Some of the things that I just wanted to point out that are relevant as we get to the security use case that Pierre is going to show. We ingest data into the platform fairly easily. Here's an example of an Azure dashboard. We're in a demo environment, so this is not exactly live collected data, but it's replay data. But we do have collectors, flexible collectors that are easy. In the case of that Azure Event Hub, there's a bunch of different types of data that we can bring in. We bring it in automatically. How it works is the customer really just completes the configuration. We have some guides that help the customer get that integration in. You click connect, and then data begins to automatically onboard within the platform. We have it for a number of different technologies. We try to make it easy for customers to onboard that data, automatically onboard that data, being cloud data or through agents that we use to collect on-prem data. Data comes in, dashboard just kind of showing a high-level overview of some of the metadata that we extract. We have a large number of metadata fields that our data gets extracted into. If you're familiar with our SIM product, we've based that on what we have in the SIM, but we've expanded it. Also, we've changed some of our widgets. Some of these were based off of what's worked well for us in SIM. We've expanded upon that to do new things, also delivered in a way it's a little bit different. This is all completely indexed data, being able to attach searches to widgets to make it displayed easy. Data comes in, we have it available for dashboards. We also have analytics rules. Data comes in, we have analytics rules that use search-based criteria for detections. I think we have the log cleared one, which was kind of easy for us to trigger easily. We have the ability to create analytics rules using filter criteria, the ability to chain rule blocks together. We provide a number of out-of-the-box rules to help our customers to be able to identify threats. We also provide our customers the ability to create their own or customized, because there's some customers that have special use cases. When analytics rules fires, it can automatically create a case. So an example would be this is one that came from a customer. It was access outside of the United States into Azure. Based on some of that data I showed on the dashboard. We have audit log cleared as well. I think this is one that Pierre is going to walk us through for the use case, where we automatically created a case. We automatically attach evidence into that case, and it will allow us to track anything that's relevant to that as part of a response. we have the ability to do search, pivot, and really do some investigations. But if you have D3, the integration will automate some of this for you. And I think maybe that's a good handoff point for me to queue up Pierre to show us what we have with D3.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Vaughn. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know when you can see it. All good?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks. So here we are in the investigation dashboard. This is the primary view that most users spend their time on. This is where you'll see a queue of incidents or events. Here we're in the incident view. And so the incident is, where the response happened, where the investigation happens. D3 is unique among other SOAR platforms in that we have a two-tiered approach to incident response. So you'll see this in other tools, but like for example, in Axon, they have events and cases, as well as observations. In the SOAR platforms, they typically only have incidents, but we split it up because within D3, there are two different playbook engines that you can run. One is at the event layer to help identify false positives, and then the other is at the incident layer to help with data enrichment and remediation, so the actual response. So we also have this MITRE attack monitor dashboard here. And so as data is coming in, we'll be tracking the different MITRE tactics and techniques over a period of time. And we'll map them out here in a graph for you, specifically so you can understand what kinds of patterns are being seen in your environment. And for MSSPs, this also helps them show their customers exactly what they need to be investing in and where potential attacks could occur. In terms of data ingestion, so how data comes into the platform, there are two ways. One is through a webhook and the other is through a scheduled request here, as you can see. So typically customers will use the scheduled request. And what that means is they'll set input parameters for the job. Each integration will have its own parameters here. For example, the Axon one has start time, number of events per job, and then a search condition. Once that's executed, it'll run at whatever cadence is set. So in this case, I've set 1 minute for it. And you can see some of them return blank. You can see by the empty check mark. Some of them do have events as they come in. You can see here 5 events created. And so this is where D3 is initiating or sending a request to Axon and querying to see if any new events have been generated within the past minute. If they have been, then they'll be ingested as a new event into D3. So now I'll go back to the investigation dashboard and we'll walk through an incident. So I'll look at this one here. This is the audit log cleared that we were looking at. And immediately what you're seeing at the top are some metadata about the incident. So this is the stage that the playbook is at, who the owner is, the severity, and the status. And those are similar fields which you can see right here, except these ones are editable. So I can change the status, the severity, etc. On the left-hand side, these are the various tabs that are available within an incident. Some of the key ones are the playbook tab and the command center, as well as artifacts. So in the command center, you'll see a record of everything that's happened to an incident, both manual and automatic. And this is for auditing purposes. You can also set them as a key finding and review them in the key findings later if you want yourself or another teammate to be able to review them. Within the pending task stage, we've also popped out any open pending tasks here into the main incident view. So whoever's assigned the ticket can come in and they understand what the next steps that they need to take are. So now that I have this incident, I'll go in and I'll update the status to in progress. This will just indicate that we're going to go ahead and we're going to start working on the ticket. I'll come into the playbook and we'll take a look at what's happened. So as we can see here, there are two different branches. One is the trigger and the other is on enrichment. We'll go through the trigger first because what happened was I just changed the status from new to in progress. And so we saw that this path here was triggered. It checked to see if it was closed. Since not, we're going to go and update the case status back in Axon. So here you can see this takes in the name of the case, the status, the severity, the case ID, and create ID. All this is dynamically populated using data from Axon itself. So if we come back here into Axon cases, I believe it's this earlier one here, the one that has the low. And And then so we'll just refresh the page and we'll double check, make sure that the status has changed. Yeah, so you can see here the status for this one has changed to in progress. So this is how D3 and Axon synchronize the case status. And so what we can do here is we'll go look at the enrichment stage now. It does a few things. So it goes and gets the underlying case logs. If we go back to Axon, we can see here within the case, these are always comprised of multiple different logs. So we want to get these logs in for our investigation as well. And so within D3, you can automate that as part of the enrichment. And there's going to be two key pieces of information from those logs. One is the device information, the other is the user. So on the device side, we're going to go and query Carbon Black. First, we need to get the device ID, and then we'll go and we'll check for that device information. So within D3, we can always get the raw data back, but we tend to summarize that into key fields here. This is where you can get the device name, its IP address, the operating system, whether or not it's quarantined, whether or not there's an active scan, which is important for us, and then the vulnerability score of the machine. So this one's low. There has not been a scan and it's not currently quarantined. So it doesn't look like anything's really happened to this device. It's just probably a regular employee's laptop. The other piece of information is the user here. So this was in the underlying case logs. And so what we can do is we can get their user information from Okta, and then we'll use this as an input to understand what groups they're a part of. And then again, here in the key fields, we can see they're part of a standard everyone group, and then they're also an administrator. And we can go see this in table format here. So what's going to happen is this pending task has popped up, which I showed you in the previous screen, and it's going to ask, what do we want to do? Do we want to initiate containment, or do we want to close this as a false positive? We're going to hit initiate containment just because there hasn't been any activity that's been happened on this device. There's been no scan, there's been no update. And so I'm going to hit yes here. And then I'm also going to go back to the overview, and I'm going to update the severity from low to medium. So you can see the severity here has been updated, and then also a new task called recovery has triggered. So we'll go back into Axon and we'll check first the new trigger. So you can see when we change the severity, the true path was selected here for the severity branch, and then it goes in and it updates the severity to medium. So if we come back here to Axon, we should see the second attainment audit log case. The severity should be updated to medium. Yeah, as you can see, our case number 21. So this was updated to medium for us. And then down here for the containment stages, there are 4 different actions that have been triggered, 2 from Carbon Black and 2 from Okta. One is we've started a background scan, and the other is we've quarantined the host temporarily. And on Okta, we've reset the user's password and notified them, and then we've also deactivated the user. Obviously, these actions don't need to be triggered automatically for every case. I've just set them to run automatically to give a demonstration of what kinds of remediation can be taken in an environment through the SOAR platform. So it extends from very light, which is starting a scan, to very severe, which is quarantining the host. And then once we've gone through the results and everything is triggered successfully, what we can do is we can go into the recovery stage and we can initiate it here manually. Typically, that's how playbooks work. There'll be these different stage tasks in orange that are triggered manually, or there'll be a decision right before it. And so we really give the user, the purpose of the SOAR platform is to give the user the information that they need to make a decision, and then help them automate the actions afterwards. So rather than automating the decision making itself, we try to assist with the information gathering and then also acting on whatever decision they make. So the recovery stages, the recovery tasks are basically the exact opposite of the containment task. So we've reactivated the user, we've reconnected the host, and we've stopped the background scan here. Going back into the overview, now the case is still in progress. What we want to do is we want to close this out. So we come into the case details, we hit closed resolved. This is to input the closure status in a format that Axon accepts. And so we're going to close it here. I'm going to type in resolved and closed incident. This should close it out here inside of D3, and then we'll go back to the playbook. There should be another branch here that triggered on incident close. It comes down here, get case details, update status to closed. And I'm going to refresh this one, and we're looking for that case number 21. right here, and we can see that the status is now changed to closed resolve. So that's how the end-to-end incident response process works between Axon and D3. The logs generate alerts in Axon, which are ingested into D3 using our scheduler. They become an incident, and the analysts will come in and they'll review information in the enrichment stage. They'll update the status and make decisions about how they want to proceed. And then they can initiate recovery and close the incident out while keeping both platforms in sync. So with that, I'll hand it back off to you, Alex, and we can round it off.
Yeah, so there's a few questions that I think it would actually be good to address while the D3 tool is visible. So I'll get you to pop that back up. So there was a few questions about MITRE ATT&CK, and one of them was, how does MITRE ATT&CK information flow from Axon to D3? And there were other questions around just D3's general MITRE ATT&CK capabilities. So Pierre, I don't know if that's something that you want to do like a quick recap on.
Sure. Yeah, so there are a couple ways that D3 can pick up on MITRE attacks. One is if it's in the raw data. So if we can see here, there are a couple here. This one has defense evasion and time stomp. So this was in the raw data from what we got back from Axon. And what'll happen is that'll get incremented up here in the MITRE monitoring dashboard. So that's one way. The other way is you can have custom searches within D3 itself here. So this is just simple Boolean logic that you can create so that when the system finds, so this is artifact based. So these are the artifacts here on the left-hand side. So if there's an account ID and it has a particular value and you want it to trigger for any activity on this particular account ID, if you want that to trigger, for example, credential access, then you can create that search condition and it'll increment it when it sees it in a new event. So those are typically the two ways. And then the third way is obviously it can be added manually at any point, either through the event or the incident. And then some customers will go and they'll create MITRE specific playbooks. And so they can trigger those playbooks after the tactic or technique has been added. But those are the three ways that D3 will pick up on a MITRE attack technique or tactic.
Vaughn, was there anything you'd like to add from the Axon side there?
On a personal level, actually, what Pierre showed us was really cool. I mean, I'm going back to me as a security practitioner and some of the things that you've shown, Pierre. I think there's one thing that you showed us a lot of great stuff, but for the one thing that really resonated for me was you showed it kind of how the detection works, and you're really getting approval from the analyst. And it's you're automating a lot of the hard work, making it much more effective. And you build a really cool playbook. So that was kind of awesome. Just on the MITRE specific stuff, we do have a lot of out of the box content that is focused on MITRE that can help drive some of the detections that are coming in for MITRE type dashboard that we have here in D3 or our analytics dashboard with inside of Axon.
Vaughn, there's a question that I think would be good for you, and I'm going to shorten it here a little bit, but how do you see this integration, this joint solution impacting the user interface, the overall user experience of a security analyst? Like, how do you see them, improving their day, their flow, their performance with this integration?
I think the consistency part of it really helps, because we know that in many organizations, there's a lot of turnover that they get, particularly at level 1 analyst, and being able to get consistent results, predictable results, I think will really help. And I see that's kind of where the integration the partnership that we have, where it really brings value. What you have at D3 perfectly complements what we have, particularly with the decision and the branching logic that you have based on observations that we're making, contextualization information that you're getting from third-party sources, and ultimately, kind of remediating the threat through performing action, particularly through that approval. Go ahead and improve it. So the way I see this impacting our customers is that we really get repeatable and more consistent results, and hopefully we're driving the mean time to detect, the mean time to respond down even further.
Okay, here's a question that's referencing managing multiple customer instances. So I would imagine the person asking is probably working at an MSSP. So how does the integration facilitate managed security service providers managing multiple customer instances?
I can speak to one of the points we mentioned on the sides was consolidating multiple tenants. So this can help in a couple of different ways. One is you work out of a single platform. So within D3 here, if you go into the investigation dashboard, you'll see at the top right here, there are different sites. And so each of these sites for a client, for example, can be a different client. And so for each client, they can feed in alerts from their EDR, from their network tool, from their email tool, from their SIEM. And then it could also be actions can be automated across them. So at least between Axon and D3, the integration helps MSSPs who have customers with unique Axon tenants. They can consolidate all of their work into a single platform, and they can do their incident response out of D3.
Okay, and are there enhancements or additional features that will be available in the future for this integration?
I think some of the workflows that we're going to be announcing in the future are going to be particularly valuable for MSSPs, which is it extends beyond incident management and starts going into actually like account management or content management, as we're calling it. And so this is where you can manage the configuration of each of your clients' Axon instances from D3. And so we're like, for example, if a new analytic rule is created on one, we can extract it within D3 and then replicate it across multiple tenants or multiple instances of Axon. So that's one example of some of the ways we're extending beyond incident response to help MSSP specifically.
Well, I've got a question from myself, and I don't know. It seems like the MSSP folks on the webinar today are maybe a little bit more talkative, but from an enterprise perspective, for large enterprises, Vaughn, why is this solution effective?
I'll speak from, well, at least on the Axon side of it. We've built things. It's the automation that we've done around ingesting the data. Large enterprise have larger data ingestion complexities that need to be accounted for. So for us to be able to get the data in and run the analytics is important. We've built this so that we can scale. Part of what we've done foundationally includes the scalability, being able to go up to extreme scales, but we've also built it with multi-tenancy in mind, and that's part of the fundamental architecture of our platform. I think in particular, the scale that we can achieve serves our large enterprise customers to a great extent, and I think the integration that we have with D3 really just complements that, particularly with even some of the multi-tenancy stuff. We do see this with some very large enterprise customers that they have like an instance here or an instance here because they've acquired different companies, and we have seen some very large enterprise act like an MSSP themselves.
And if I could add to that, I think for enterprises, what's important is that they pick the best tool for them and they don't compromise on that. And one of the trends right now towards being pushed by big vendors is, platform consolidation or like vendor consolidation. So pressuring enterprise security leaders to select more tools from a single vendor because maybe they integrate well with each other, or they're getting some price discounts, or they're being incentivized in some other way to do that. But they need to pick and have picked the best tool for their environment. And so when a security leader chooses Axon as the correct SIEM for them, what implementing D3 into their environment means is they can now also integrate Axon into any other tool that they're working on. And so D3 kind of enables this this integration regardless of the parent company of the different vendor, which enables security leaders to pursue their best in class architecture.
Thanks. There's a few more open questions. I want to get to them, but I also want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're now at 47 minutes, so we're running a little bit over. So does that content management capability apply to other security tools, or will it be predominantly focusing on the management of Axon?
So yeah, I'll just assume this question is for me. So D3 is really dependent on APIs. And what the Axon team has done is they've enabled this content management through their API. And so our integration team, we've gone in there and worked with them, and we've made sure that we can both get new content from Axon, transform it so that it can be received from other tenants, and then also pushed over to those tenants. And then Vaughn and his team have worked on making sure they can receive that data and then turn it into new real content and rules inside of their tenants or inside of their instances. So it really is API based, and the Axon team and the D3 team have worked together to make sure that this capability is there. And in terms of other tools, it really is dependent. Some yes, some no. And we have to go into the documentation and figure that out.
And a question for on-premise LogRhythm deployments, is the D3 integration available?
Yes, yep. Our on-prem LogRhythm integration is and has been available and consistently maintained as well.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. If anybody has a question, you've got about 30 seconds to add it. Vaughn, Pierre, thanks for joining us. So, to learn more over email, you can email sales@d3security.com. You can email Isaac Noujeim at LogRhythm.com and Robert Dirth at LogRhythm.com. You can visit us at d3security.com, request a demo on our website. I'm sure the same thing for LogRhythm. And then, both account executives at LogRhythm and at D3 will know about this solution. And if you're in touch with one of your account executives, we can show you the solution as well. So appreciate your time today. Appreciate all the questions. And we look forward to seeing you again on a future webinar or meeting. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Go ahead.